Hello, and welcome to my final project presentation on becoming a better professional thinker. First step in becoming a better professional thinker over the next 12 months would be for me to procrastinate. I want to try and have more creative ideas, which are in the middle of the timeline spectrum. So rather than jumping upon my first idea or concluding upon my first thought, I want to try and think about things over a longer duration of time so that I try and have more divergent ideas, so more ideas of all different possible outcomes, because the increased amount of procrastination that you perform gives you more time to think and more time to conclude on the best overall ideas. Also, when you procrastinate, you learn to doubt the default. So you look to more options and or better options. The default option is not necessarily always the best. Might be what worked for most people, but might not necessarily, but what's the best option moving forward. So you want to doubt the default option and always try and think of better ones. Also want to try and be original. Do not be afraid to fail. No one came upon a great idea by copying somebody else's. They might have improved on somebody else's, but they didn't copy it. So you want to try and be original, and don't be afraid to have a bunch of ideas or thoughts which just don't work out. The more output that I'm going to churn out is the more variety I'm going to get. Therefore, I'm going to have the best chance of stumbling across something great. So if I'm going to be thinking about ideas, I want to try and think about as many as possible and find the best ones that are going to stick. I also want to think critically. So I want to have more deductive arguments and less ampliative. I want to try and find arguments that can conclude upon logical reasoning and not some that just amplify somebody's thoughts and kind of stretch the argument a bit, but don't really have great reasoning to them. So I want to think about arguments that support their conclusions. I want to think critically and create good arguments. The better arguments I have will lead to better lines of thinking, and it will lead to better overall outcomes. I also want to learn to distinguish between good and bad reasoning. I want to make sure that I have reasons for my beliefs. So just do not conclude on what your first thought is. Look into it, find the good and bad about this item, and it'll enable me to both think critically and think analytically about what it is I'm looking to do. Also, when you think critically, the thoughts aren't visible. They break down the processes that define them and they solve problems. So learn to kind of visualize my thoughts and learn to break down the processes individually and learn to just kind of see things as the whole, but also see them in smaller chunks to make up the whole, which will enable me to think about things a little bit better. Also, I want to be liberal. I'm in a liberal studies program here at Stony Brook. Classical education matters. I want to be versed in many and master a few. I want to be good at everything I think about. But I don't necessarily need to be an expert at anything. The more versed I am in different areas, the better I can pull from different areas to form my ideas and my solutions. I want to think liberally and be broad-minded. It's going to pave the way to build many connections that are understood and thoughtful. And well, thank you for listening to my presentation on how I'm going to become a better professional thinker over the course of the next 12 months. Put a couple of references and QR codes and the rest of the references that I referred from the previous week's assignments. Thank you.